There comes a moment, quiet, almost invisible, when your love stops begging and your dignity finally stands up. And when they see that shift in you, something inside them changes too. You don't announce it, you don't post about it, you don't even explain it. But suddenly, you're no longer chasing, no longer explaining, no longer shrinking yourself just to be understood. And that's when they feel it. Not your absence, but your presence without need. Because love, when it is desperate, is easy to ignore. But dignity, when it awakens, is impossible to overlook. They start replaying your silence. They start questioning their power over you. They start wondering, when did you stop needing them the way you used to? And the truth is, it didn't happen overnight. It happened in the nights you cried without texting them, in the moments you chose self-respect over temporary closeness, in the silent decisions where you said, I deserve better than this. Carl Jung once said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And the moment you did that, you became someone they could no longer control. This video is about what goes on inside their mind when they see that transformation in you. When your dignity becomes stronger than your love for them, because in that moment, you don't lose them. You redefine the entire story. Part 1. The shock of losing control. Before they understood you, they knew exactly what would pull you back. A late-night message, a half-hearted apology, a moment of attention just enough to keep you attached. You were predictable, not because you were weak, but because you loved deeply, and deep love often tolerates what dignity never should. But now something has shifted. You don't reply instantly anymore. You don't over-explain your feelings. You don't fight for their attention like you used to. And this is where their mind begins to spiral. Because control is built on predictability. And the moment you became unpredictable, you became powerful. It's like a chess player suddenly facing an opponent who no longer follows the expected moves. Every strategy they relied on starts to collapse. Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." And now, your why is no longer them. That realization unsettles them more than your absence ever could. They begin asking silent questions. Why aren't they reacting? Did I lose them? Or did they finally see through me? Because your dignity has done something your love never could. It removed their ability to take you for granted, and suddenly they are no longer in control of the narrative. Part 2. The ego begins to crack. At first, they try to dismiss it. They tell themselves you're just busy or emotional or trying to prove a point, because accepting the truth that you've genuinely changed would mean confronting something uncomfortable within themselves. Their ego resists that, because your love once fed something in them, not always maliciously, not always consciously, but it did. Your attention reassured them. Your patience excused them. Your forgiveness protected them from facing their own inconsistencies. But now, that mirror is gone, and without that mirror, they're left alone with who they actually are. Carl Jung wrote, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." And now, your silence begins to irritate them. Not because you've done something wrong, but because you've stopped participating in the illusion they were comfortable living in. They begin to feel something unfamiliar. Insecurity. Why aren't they chasing me anymore? Am I not enough now? Did they find someone better? Or did I lose something real? And here's the deeper truth. It's not that they suddenly see your worth. It's that your withdrawal forces them to feel their own lack of depth. Because when someone is used to being loved without effort, your dignity feels like rejection, even when it's simply self-respect. They may try to reach out casually, a message, a reaction, a small test to see if you're still emotionally available. But this time, your energy is different. You respond but you don't surrender. You acknowledge, but you don't attach, and that's when it hits them. They no longer have access to you in the same way. And ego, when denied access, begins to crack. Because the hardest thing for someone who took you for granted is realizing you're no longer theirs to take. Part 3. The realization of your value. There's a quiet phase that comes after the confusion, after the ego begins to crack. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, but it's the most dangerous moment of all, because this is where realization begins. They start remembering you differently, not as the person who waited, not as the one who always stayed, but as the one who gave them something real, something rare, your patience, your emotional depth, the way you understood them without needing everything explained. And suddenly, those things are no longer available. And absence has a strange way of revealing value. Like oxygen, you never think about it until it's gone. They begin replaying moments, the conversations they didn't take seriously, the effort they assumed would always be there, the version of you that loved without conditions. And here's where the shift becomes painful for them. They realize you didn't leave because you stopped loving. You stepped back because you finally started respecting yourself. There's a difference. Albert Camus once said, "You will never be happy if you continue to search for what happiness consists of." And in a similar way, they were searching for validation without realizing. They already had something meaningful with you. But now, it's no longer theirs. And the most unsettling thought begins to form. What if I lost someone who would have never given up on me, just because I didn't value them when I had the chance? That question lingers, because your dignity didn't just create distance. It created clarity. And in that clarity, they are forced to confront a truth most people avoid. They didn't lose you, they failed to rise to meet you. Part 4. The silent respect they can't ignore. By now, something irreversible has happened. The dynamic has changed, not on the surface, but deep beneath it. Because when someone realizes your value after you've withdrawn, they don't just feel regret. They feel respect, a quiet, undeniable respect they can't argue with, can't manipulate, can't rewrite. Because you didn't leave loudly. You didn't try to prove a point. You didn't destroy anything. You simply stopped abandoning yourself. And that kind of strength unsettles people. Lao Tzu once said, "Care about what other people think, and you will always be their prisoner." And the moment you stopped caring about how they perceived your distance, you became free. And freedom is something they can feel, even if they don't admit it. They see it in the way you no longer overreact, in the way your energy feels calm, grounded, unattached, in the way you've become whole, without needing them to complete you. And here's the part most people don't talk about. They may try to come back, not always because they've changed, but because your absence created a space they can no longer fill with anyone else. But this time, it's different, because now you're not choosing from loneliness. You're choosing from clarity. You're no longer asking, "Do they want me?" You're asking, "Do they deserve access to me?" And that question changes everything, because dignity doesn't beg, it doesn't chase, it doesn't prove, it simply stands. And when a person finally sees that in you, they understand something too late, yet deeply. They didn't just lose your attention, they lost access to a version of you that would have loved them without limits. So if you're in that space right now, where your heart still remembers them, but your soul is choosing you, stay there, because that's not distance, that's growth. Ask yourself, are you trying to be loved, or are you finally learning to be respected? Because the truth is, the moment your dignity becomes stronger than your love is the moment you stop losing people. and start finding yourself.